Hello, everyone. We are live. Welcome to this week's episode of Live SEO Website Audits. I'm Itamar Blauer. I've got Deepak who's going to be showing up. He literally just he was at a coffee shop or something like that near his house. And he was just like, you know what, let me quickly get back to my house and get the Wi-Fi on properly because he was hotspotting off of his mobile. So, I guess it makes more sense to kind of go back and sort that out so it's all going to be done properly, which is fine. So he's only going to be a few minutes now, but if you're new here as well, so this is what we do every single week, actually. I'm thinking of changing the time maybe for the future weeks for maybe 5 o'clock, because we've been doing this at like 1:30. Today, obviously, we've done this at 1 o'clock, but just trying different times out, seeing what's working better. We've got BB in the house, my house. I mean, are you trying to say you're at your house? I don't know. BB's here. BB, great to see you. For people who are just joining in as well, let us know where you're coming from today, where you're joining this live stream. And like I said, obviously, you can just see me right now, but Deepak is going to be here briefly, just because he's just gone quickly to get back home and use the proper Wi-Fi and all of that kind of stuff. So if you've never been to one of these live streams, what we try and do here is to audit different websites that you guys who are joining in the live stream, you can comment down a website, and let me just put a banner here so you can see how you can do that. So you pretty much all just put the domain, put a space, and then put the top level domain, whether that's com, co, space UK, whatever it may be. So that's how you can submit the site to be reviewed, and then we're going to be auditing the site on various different things. And I like to have different guests on every single week because different people have their own angles in terms of how they look at websites. So that's just quite interesting to get different people's opinions and see how different people address auditing websites in their own different ways. So we've got about 9 people watching the live stream, but we've only got BB messaging in the chat. So I want to see you guys. I want to know who's watching right now. So, put a comment in the live chat. Oh, right. Yeah, I asked where we're joining in from. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense, BB. What a joker. BB's joining in from her house. That's good. I'm glad, BB, that you're joining in from your house again, as you usually do. Hello, Nicola. How's it going? Nicola's already submitted a site. So just whilst we're waiting for more people to join in, we can start with Nicola's website. We've also got another website that we got submitted earlier as well, which we'll go through after Nicola's site. But still, yeah, we're just waiting on Deepak to join in again. So he'll only be another couple minutes now. But yeah, so obviously, BB's excited that other people have started speaking in the live chat. If you haven't already, by the way, feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel and like this live stream. This is something that I try and do weekly with different guests. And I feel like it just helps to add value to people's websites, because sometimes people just want second opinions, and there might be things that even myself or the guests that come on for the show that we pick out on, and it's something that maybe you haven't thought about, so you can start to implement with your own websites. And that's something that is very beneficial to people as well, to any webmasters. And we've reviewed tons of different types of sites here. So we've gone through like affiliate sites, e-commerce sites, people's own kind of personal branding websites. So a bunch of different types of websites that we've looked through, and there are a bunch of things that we might check. Obviously, we can't go too in depth depending on how many people are submitting sites throughout the show, because obviously if we were to do complete site audits, we might be here for a couple hours. So we just try and obviously watch out for time. And I guess I'm just trying to be wary of when Deepak's coming back in. But I feel like I could probably get a start, and then he'll just kind of hop in and that in his own time. But we can make a start here as well. And obviously, thanks, Nicola, for joining in. And thanks, BB, for recommending that Nicola joins in here to the session. So I suppose we can just get started with Brosic bro6.com. So I'm just going to put that up and I will share my screen and then we'll get started. So, all right, let me just share my screen really quickly. And I obviously have to keep coming back to StreamYard to make sure that I need to add Deepak in once he's back, because it doesn't give you a sound for some reason. But anyways, here we go. So bro6.com. So this is, let's just read a little bit about it. Make remote employees feel like they are in the office. So it's an instant messaging tool that's used for team collaboration, efficiency, and that kind of stuff here. So let's just look down at this homepage. We've obviously got some information about what it is. So instant messaging platform. You've got a bunch of kind of FAQ stuff over here. You've got some CTAs. You've got some testimonials and another CTA. So, I mean, yeah, it's quite a simple layout for a kind of homepage for, for like a SaaS tool or whatnot. But let's just have a look through, because obviously it seems like you've got a lot of content and different features that you've got for this tool. You've got different URLs and you've got content there as well. Something that I would like to see, I think, when it comes to displaying features of any kind of tool, it's always nice to actually see it being used. So as opposed to, having one image, you could potentially have videos in there. We've got Deepak coming in. I'm just going to add him real quick. Deepak, are you with us?
I am. Hopefully you can hear me and see me this time. Bloody hell.
Yeah, there he is. So let's just quickly get the introductions done out of the way. But Deepak is the managing director at Pearl Lemon. He's one of the guys that I've looked up to in this industry as a doer. Somebody who don't look so surprised, Deepak. Come on now.
As a doer. Okay,
he's a doer. He is a doer. I have massive respect for people who put their money where their mouths are and get things done. So obviously, yeah, Deepak's here to join us today. Deepak, any quick things you wanted to say just to introduce yourself?
No, guys, just happy to be here. Apologies, apologies, I'm a little bit late, and just looking forward to getting stuck in. I think everything you said is fantastic, Itamar. So I'm now going to suddenly become HD, I think. So there you go. And,
yeah, there is.
Just ready to rock and roll. And I see that you're looking at bro6.com. So please continue. And where and when I can add value, I'll chime in.
Yeah, not a problem. So yeah, I'll just put my screen back on. So we were just looking at the kind of features part of this website, and obviously, you've got a bunch of different URLs for different features, and I just brought the point in where, if you want somebody to be buying a tool, it's nice to obviously have the different features and capabilities in different pages on the site, but you might want to include videos in there, maybe some quick demos for these specific features, just so people get more of a feel of like conviction that they're like, okay, I see that this feature looks really good. I've seen it demoed. I might want to now request the full demo so I can try out for myself, just for these different features. But just trying to see as well generally what kind of content is on this site. So, you've got a tutorials section here under the resources bit, which is nice. You've got different step-by-steps, which is actually quite nice to see, maybe as well incorporating videos there too. The other thing I wanted just to look at really quickly is the blog, because I feel like that's where, when in terms of sustaining a website in the long term, once you've got all the set content, you've got to think about how you can add more content and also build more links. And oftentimes the best way to do that is through a blog. So the blog page, I think, looks quite nice. Let me just go into a random blog post just to quickly have a look at what's in here. So you've got tables of contents, you've got quite a lot of content, loads of heading tags, you've got a lot of imagery. It looks quite clean. It looks quite professional. So I've got no real problems just scanning through the blog. Deepak, obviously, I don't know how long you've managed to take a look at this site, but what are your first thoughts?
Absolutely. So, Nicola, thank you, first of all, for submitting your site. I think that So initially, my first thoughts are, if I just go ahead and share my screen, just double check if can you guys see my screen?
I've just popped it up. Yep.
Amazing. I should just put a picture of myself up and stare at that. So a couple of things. I think first of all, initially went immediately to have a look at your profile to get a sense of what's going on here, and you can see that you really do rank for a large amount of organic keywords. There's some great traffic value there. Obviously, you've got the UR and the DR strength here, so that's really good to see. I think that probably for me, the biggest immediate quick win, I think that would be significant, is if we go to, for example, your top pages as according to organic search. Unsurprisingly, it's your TLD, your top level domain. So what's quite interesting is, to be honest with you, your homepage, you could put, I think, a boatload more content here. I think as it stands, you could definitely benefit from putting more. I think the way that it's structured, these are quite big in terms of the pop-out boxes. And whilst from a markup perspective, Google does, of course, read these, I do think you've got a big opportunity to add more content. I think that doing something as simple as that will give you quite a decent boost, because naturally, this is where you're going to get most of your links from a lot of the time from an organic perspective. Whether it happens naturally, if it's natural links, it'll be from here, from perhaps a PR perspective. From an actual SEO perspective, I can have a look and see that you've got some pages at what is instant messaging, and a couple of ones that are driving traffic, and that tells me that it's a combination of specific, of course, apps, as well as not apps, but rather like main level service pages, as well as the actual blog. So if we go ahead and, for example, look at the actual top performing page in terms of the traffic it drives, then we look at this, and the immediate obvious thing here is this is clearly like really well put together content. You just need to look at it, scroll and look at the length of it. What impact will, and if we just run a quick comparison and say, okay, great, we'll take the top 3 pages, of which, of course, naturally your top level domain is one. We'll also take the 4th, in fact, because these and that's instant messaging apps again. So we'll ignore that. So we'll look, we'll go all the way to number 7, just for a quick look up, because fundamentally these several pages, and let me just go back to see what with your keywords, what countries we're looking at. I presume it's predominantly, yes, yeah, it's a US, you're targeting US traffic. Then if we just compare these pages, and this is the one that's number 1 in terms of the hierarchy, and then we've got number 2, fantastic. It's clearly a long form blog piece again. Number 3 is this page, which is clearly probably what you're looking at from an SEO perspective to rank, because it's a commercial page. The instant, and this one's interesting because there's actually not a lot of content here happening. And this is probably, as I think Itamar mentioned, perhaps part of a tutorial in a way, because it's features. But I would honestly look at, and this blog is driving traffic that's a little bit on the shorter side as compared to this blog. So this is where you're deriving the most link juice. This one here, I would treat this as the flagpole, the totem, if you will, because this is the page that clearly demonstratively drives the most traffic for you. And I would do lots of, let's say, replication in terms of style, structure, etc. for this. Also, it's a pretty recent piece. And then if we again look at your, I think it was here. Yeah, this is of course your homepage. Compare my ability to scroll with my ability to scroll here. I think that one of the first things I'd immediately do is identify what you're doing really well with this page, and seek to look at some of your top performing pages and get consistently up to that word count volume, because you're already getting a lot of value there. And I think that that's one of the first things I potentially look at. And then if we extend that, one of the other things I noticed is, and we're talking about something quite simple to execute. It's the amount of content that you have. You've already got a great domain reputation. You've got, I haven't digged into your backlink profile, but I'm assuming it's going to be pretty good, and we need to look at it. But what I see happening is that you're going to naturally start ranking for more organic keywords by merely adding content to your site because you've got a decent level of domain authority. So what was interesting for me to see was, and if I now share my screen again, can you, yeah, brilliant. So if I jump back into here, what also was surprisingly on the smaller side was here. I went to the About Us. It's for any company that you don't know before, that you really don't know, and I need to look it up, but I was quite surprised to see how short this page is, because an about page, I think, is one that people, especially people that want to potentially become fans of your business, spend some time upon. So I would do a thorough content review of your site and identify pages that you'd benefit from literally just adding. The assumption is they're contextually relevant and all of those pieces, but adding more content to. And I think that was the biggest first thing that I noticed, that this is a really nicely ranked website that's got some main pages that could do with a lot more content.
Yeah, 100% agree. And you touched upon some very different but very good points as well. And I think when you're looking at the top pages of a site in terms of where is it ranking best organically, it is really important. And I'll just kind of echo what you were saying in terms of you've got to try and replicate what the winning formula is, in the sense, because you take a look at what is Google rewarding, and you look at the content that you've got on that page, you can see it's very comprehensive. And then that's the kind of basis, or let's call that the main kind of standard that you want to get to when it comes to all the rest of your content, if possible. So when you compare that kind of blog post to your homepage content, for instance, and obviously when you've got the whole middle chunk of your homepage being the FAQ section, it can seem like you're potentially wasting a bit of space. Maybe that's something you could shift down a bit, but add more content in terms of maybe some either video testimonials or different things that you can potentially add to make the homepage more comprehensive in terms of being able to scroll down a lot more, so there's more information. But then going back to that blog post that was kind of like your best performing page organically, you've got to be able to abuse the power that it has. And what I mean by that is take a look at for example, the internal links that you're putting on that page. Can you be shifting authority to other relevant places on your website in order to boost up those pages? Because obviously when you think about things like PageRank and things like that, that's always going to be on a page level. It's not about your domain, it's about the particular pages you've got on your site that have the authority and that have the power. So internal linking is one thing that you can do to massively help spread that authority across to more relevant places on your site. And then you can start ranking for more keywords, or for different keywords for other types of features or services or blog posts. Because, when we looked at the, I think it was the organic keywords, and let me just share my screen really quick,
go ahead.
Just to have a look at that, because I did notice off the bat that, you had a lot of position 1 ranking. So if we go back actually to the top pages here, like the top keywords like instant messaging apps, you rank number 1 for that. That's got quite a lot of search volume. But I mean, even position 5 for the keyword screenshot with 279,000 search, like that's a lot of traffic that can be going your way anyway. But let's just look really quickly in terms of your organic keywords. I'm just curious to find opportunities where you can potentially move up from maybe mid page 1 to a lot higher. So for instance, we've seen that example, position 5 for screenshot. We've got position 4 for best organization apps. And that's got 1,300 search volume. So, with this blog post itself, potentially trying to use internal linking more, even from that blog post that you had in your top pages where you ranked number 1, to this blog post, and just see how you can do that and utilize internal links just to further strengthen this content. Maybe you could add more content to this post. Maybe you can update it in terms of the amount of scrolling you need to do. It's nowhere near as much as we saw in the other blog post. So that's just certain things that you can try and do in order to just continually improve, because I think that's the thing with SEO. It's never done. There's always more that you can do. There's always more wins to be made.
Absolutely. It's quite interesting to build upon one of those top performing pages you just mentioned. If you just bring up that page again, it's my top pages on Ahrefs. So I did something actually just now, Nicola. I went to, so of course we've got, look, instant messaging apps. I was quite surprised, and it's a good thing, to go to your blog. Now go to his blog, Itamar.
On that one here,
Yeah, because they've got a nice search functionality in their actual top level. If you go to the page where you can search, okay, search a blog. If we look at the word, search for the word review. Now, what's interesting is that you guys have got 0 reviews of any competitor tools that you could probably outrank relatively quickly in the instant messenger app market. So if we look at SEO from a hijacking keywords perspective, because of the authority that you've got, one of the really interesting things that you could look at is identify on a regular basis tools that ultimately have less domain strength and or authority than yourself, that are direct competitors to you, and you could write really detailed reviews on them. And you would probably then rank for what could be buying keywords effectively, because if someone's searching for a review for a competitor of yours and it's curated by the Bro6 team, I think that Google would reward you, because you're already being rewarded for content that relates to the best instant messenger apps. It has a direct relation to, remote working, which is, a software space that you're trying to occupy. So in terms of that mention that Itamar made, like what are the opportunities? There's some clear opportunities there from a if we look at kind of what type of keyword, like a converting keywords perspective. I think people are a little bit closer to the sell because they're comparing software tools, and it's quite a typical thing you'll see in a lot of places that come out of AppSumo or whatever. You type in a MailChimp versus and you get a load of blogs that come up, or a Lemlist versus, and these are the kinds of buying keywords that people do look when they're making purchasing decisions. So I think that given you have a page called Best Instant Messaging Apps that ranks really well, and as I noticed, you've got a YouTube channel that's got a couple of thousand subscribers, and you've got videos. Exactly. So alternative. Let's try alternatives. Nicholas saying alternatives.
He's got let me just share my screen. So there are quite a few posts actually about alternatives, maybe not review, but maybe these are keywords that you can potentially target still. So I mean, you've got Flock alternatives, Slack alternatives. So it does see Skype alternatives. So there are things there. There is content there, definitely.
Brilliant. So alternatives is a keyword that you're hitting upon. Combine that also then with review, and then add. So if you go to YouTube quickly now for me, Itamar, let's just let's type in Mailshake review as an example. Let's just see what comes up. Cool, great. So I think that extending the same strategy that you're doing to YouTube, because you've got quite an active channel and ranking for these keywords, I think that would also lead to quite qualified traffic fundamentally, particularly because you're in a space where everything is focused around the how-to. So it's what Itamar may mention too, that ultimately it's how-tos are very video based, and I know that you have got a range and collection of videos, but you could probably quite easily occupy spaces like this as well.
Absolutely. I think you've got to, and this is the thing where you need to utilize your most powerful assets. So, for some people that might just be their website, but you've got a website that's ranking well. You've got a YouTube channel with a couple thousand subscribers and a lot of video content. You got to make the most of that, and you can potentially drive a lot of traffic from these different sources. So like Deepak was mentioning, YouTube is a great way to go about it. Also checking online brand communities, places like forums, so Reddit, Quora, different places where you can potentially get people who are interested potentially in your app, and you kind of get them drive traffic to your site, even if they're looking at potentially competitors. So for example, there might be a subreddit about your competitors, and then you can see what people are saying in there, and you can have discussions with them. This is more of like a personal selling basis, but even that can lead to people going in and potentially converting with your own app as well. So that's something to keep in mind. But yeah, absolutely, really, really great points. And I'm just checking in with what people are saying from the chat. So hey, David Gray, good to see you. We've got BB was mentioning about internal linking making a big difference. And yeah, we saw that. Yeah, that's true. I do watch basketball all day. My Lakers won the first game of the NBA Finals last night, so I'm in a good mood. But yeah, I think I can't really think of too much else to say on this site. Deepak, any final bits that we haven't mentioned?
I think that being on top of your backlink profile with regularly looking at stuff that you could potentially disavow. I was taking a look at domains that are referring to you, and you've got some like direct IPs that are linking to you. If you look that up in Hrefs, I think a common thing that sometimes happens on sites that acquire a lot of links organically is just keeping on top of the trash effectively and making sure that is being removed. I think that ultimately, and I've not looked at I've not run a technical audit of the site, but broadly speaking, I think that it's already in good shape. If you have a look at building out and replicating what's really working for you effectively already with the instant messaging apps page and building around that and increasing content tactically. And I caught some of the things that Itamar was saying about the calls to action and about embedding videos along the way. I think already that you'd see some returns pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and I think it's a really, really good site. It's a really strong site. You just need to think as a final note, just like we were saying before, but just to really bring this home, is just make the most of the powerful assets that you have. So make use of your blog posts that are generating lots of traffic. Make use of the fact that you've got high domain authority, essentially, and you can strengthen your homepage, strengthen other content pieces as well, just to sustain your rankings, really sustain people, provide them a better user experience and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I hope, Nicola, that that this advice and this quick audit of your site helped you. We've got a website submitted by Nikhil as well, and we'll get into that after. Obviously, Nikhil, thanks for joining and submitting your site. We're going to check through your site, but really quickly, we want to get to another site before that was submitted in from Jack Ellis, which is Corsten.com. So, Deepak, I've got that in the private chat here. Yeah, so we'll go into that, and I'll share my screen, and we can make a start with this one. So this website here it's about architecture. So it's an e-commerce site with different types of hardware, switches, lighting for new builds or just architecture stuff. Not really my field, but the homepage looks quite professional. First thing I would say, I'm not really sure about having just this text over this kind of dark blue. That's it. Let me just go back and show you that. Maybe you could have some kind of stroke or outline to make the text a bit clearer, because some people might find
Come on, Jack. I can't bloody see any of that. I dread to think how that'll look on a mobile. Maybe it looks really good on a mobile.
I mean, this kind of stuff is all right, and obviously you are keeping it consistent, but you just need to kind of keep that in mind in terms of the images that you use. And obviously this is like a white text as well, which is different from the other ones, but that's just something small. In terms of the home page, there's not really much content here. It's mainly just, just different sections that go into your collection. So these are just, internal links going to product pages. What is there that's fascinating about your website, about your brand in particular? Something that's quite nice to see a lot of times in e-commerce sites is you can have maybe like a section about your best-selling products, or you can have a section about, who we are, some of how our products have helped certain clients, or showing different, kind of like maybe a gallery, kind of like this, but maybe just with a bit more context, a little bit. And obviously, I can see the header becomes transparent, and with this image in particular, it's impossible to be able to read what it says unless you hover it. So I don't know, it's just little things as well. And I always kind of like to pinpoint this design kind of UX bits in the beginning before looking into the SEO aspect of it, just because this is something that a potential customer might be thinking to themselves as well. But in terms of the collections that you've got, in terms of product pages, so let's just go into a particular product and some of the things that I like to see. Deepak, I'll be curious to know how you think about when you look at a product page for an e-commerce site. You know, it's always important, I think, to have multiple images. And I think here you've got some kind of was it like a blueprint of dimensions and stuff. So that's quite nice. Product description's always great. Technicality, like specifics. You've got information on delivery, and for some reason that moved my screen down. I don't know why, but so you've got that description, delivery information, instructions, which is good. You've got the ability to add it to cart, and you've got other products. I did notice though that some product pages which had reviews, the reviews were all the way at the bottom after all the related products. And I think maybe it's better to first have some reviews there, maybe list a few just so people get an idea in terms of, you know, is this product actually a good fit for me? And then you can potentially add the related products. So what do you think of this site, just on a like a straight up basis, but also about the product pages? Because that's the most important thing, I think, for an e-commerce site, making sure that, you know, people are able to convert, making it easy for people to get the information they need. So what do you think?
Jack, I think that Itamar's quite nice. Your site's a bit ugly, mate, to be honest with you. I think that that's the biggest problem that we've got. So I was looking on Built With. This is this is a Shopify site, apparently, from what I can see. I think that your designer needs to be replaced. It's and, you know, forgive me, you may already be doing, of course, incredibly well, but you'd be doing much better if you can fix a lot of the things that relate to the UX experience, as BB has said so in the comments. So I'm gonna just share my screen and storm through a couple of things that I noticed that I think, you know, would be great to improve. So just, you know, graze upon graze means that I actually get confused as to what my eyes should focus upon. So I think that's a problem in terms of the color scheme. The color scheme does not allow for enough differentiation of actual product for that to be clear. The fonts, it does look a little bit like it's been written on a Word document, which isn't fantastic. It's interesting that you've got to add to, of all of the things, you've got add to Pinterest mood board. So I just found that to be a peculiarity. I was like, well, why has he got just a Pinterest mood board? Which was fascinating for me. I you know, if you're going to have a live chat, put a person's face on it and make it a bit more personalized. I think that things like this are important. But, you know, I won't dig too deep into these elements because there's a lot of, I think, clear and obvious things, if you will, from a UX perspective that you benefit from. Okay, you benefit from. If we take a look at another site that we've worked with, I'll just give you an example. Obviously, it's a different niche, but here is a company who cares hugely about their design, as you can see, and this is built on Shopify, and it's a completely different viewing experience. So I think that changing the UX will only benefit you. Then if we look at, you know, the site, and let's I think I was jumping into Ahrefs to have a look at what was going on, just to understand a little bit more. So it does look like as of last year, 2019, you started your process of your SEO game, if you will, which is good, because, you know, it means that you are thinking about it. If we go ahead and have a look at your actual backlink profile, it's going to be interesting just to see what's going on and see where you're getting most of your links from. If we do one link per domain, and then we do link type being do follow, just to see where some of your links are coming from. I think that Decorex, Design London, Roper Hodes. So I mean, I have not looked at these sites individually, but what I will say, it looks like you're doing well, is that you're getting very relevant links to your site. Period Property, House Lust, Fifi McGee, Roper Roads. So this is actually, you know, quite nice to see. And if we look at the overall domain reputation of a lot of these sites, Design London, this is that's normal. You got some directories in here. So this is quite good to see. So I would say, you know, to your credit, because we've spent a lot of time just ripping into your site basically, and saying that, oh, it looks not very good. It looks like you've got good PR outreach that you've done, because you're getting very relevant links. And I think you continue in that fashion, which will be good. I think that's very good. And then fundamentally, I think that work on those design aspects, increase the level of the level of content. You know, the big challenge with and it relates often to designers and people that are creative that I've worked with. It's that you design it for creative people like yourself, but websites also have to be deeply functional. And if we, for example, land on your homepage, and again, you know, I just get to your homepage. So if we share my screen, like what the fuck is going on? Like what is this? Does that make sense, guys? Like above the fold, like what is it? You know, what is it? If we, you know, I'm gonna. What's your website, mate?
ItamarBlauer.com.
I can never spell your fucking last name, dude. It's like, fuck it. Here we go. So and this is not anything pre-planned. I just want to give you an example of whatever. Okay, great. I know what this guy fucking does. I know exactly what he does. I know what he is doing, and that's the call to action. Now let's compare you with an e-commerce website. Shop Now. Okay, September launches. They are trying to build their brand, and there's the argument that, but it's very clear that this is products that they're trying to sell. It is above the fold. We go to your site, and unless I'm very lucky, products designed to work together. I don't even know really what that means. Now I'm here. What am I? Are you an upholstery company? Are you? What are you? And what does architectural detail actually even mean from someone who presumably isn't an architect? Because your client, and we can stop sharing my screen now. Your client isn't like you. And I get your comments, David, about you wanted to avoid the e-commerce site template look, but you can't drift too far from what people do understand, because when you do, then you fall in danger of alienating people terribly. So I think my summary is you definitely need a lot more content. I would have a rethink about the design. You clearly probably are guys that have got a lot of industry experience, because getting those very relevant links is quite good. Of course, so do more of that. But broadly, I think that as Itamar was saying, with, you know, the product pages and the descriptions and the reviews being below the alternative products, and I think if you work across the website in terms of copy, I think that you will actually see a nice bump even to begin with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, and you touched upon a lot of different points there. And I think one thing that is interesting to me is that Corsten itself, as a keyword for that brand, has 500 search volume. So what that tells me is that people do know about this company. They do know about this brand elsewhere. Now, having known that, it may mean potentially that the kind of above the fold that you've got on your site is okay. Because if people are searching directly for the brand, they will know probably what they do. So my assumption would be that maybe you've tried to keep things very minimalistic, and maybe you've tried to keep things very visual, so people just see the visuals, because maybe most of the people who actually go on your site already kind of know what it is that they want, and maybe they are looking for these images. And I'm not somebody who knows anything about architecture and that kind of stuff. Maybe somebody who does actually does enjoy looking at that kind of stuff. But this is where you can introduce things like heat map analysis, and just to kind of see how people behave, and how, you know, how do they scroll through your site, how far down do they go on different pages, just to give you a better idea. So it's kind of an interesting one. And I get, Deepak, your point about, you know, you've got to have some conviction in there. You've got to have the CTAs in there, give people an idea of what you do. I think maybe for this one, it's just a bit different, maybe because most people who land on this site already know them. But that, of course, is going to be different when it comes to ranking for non-branded terms. So for specific lighting and sockets, maybe for that, it might be more important. So if you are ranking for maybe the other product pages, maybe there should be ways, or could be ways, to add more content in, like that you mentioned, Deepak. Add more content in there, make it more comprehensive, and make it easier for people to get an idea in terms of what it is that they're dealing with here. and just to make it maybe look a bit nicer for people to want to convert. So the things that we mentioned in product pages about, having the reviews there underneath the product descriptions so that people don't scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page to see product reviews. Because you just got to think like a consumer, think like somebody wants to buy this product. And I think that's the best approach for e-commerce sites in general, is you need to think like the consumer would, or the customer would, if they are trying to buy your product.
I agree. I think that thinking like the consumer is huge, and it's probably, you thought about your current customers, but I mean, your current customers are your current customers. You could probably have just contact us details and you wouldn't even see a drop in sales because they already know, like, and trust you. So the website isn't as important perhaps. And that's, the power of obviously the brand that you built up, because I didn't check that search volume, but that already tells me a lot about your business. You've got history, you've been at this a long time, but you're here because of course you probably care more about the guys that don't know you. And the guys that don't know you, maybe it's me. I'm 34 years old. I could spend maybe 50, 100 grand with you guys, but I'd come to the site, I'd be like, I don't know what the fuck this website is about. And if there are any people like me that could be part of your buying market, then they're, I assume, the people that you're most interested in for your next 20 years, because you're trying to capture some additional mind share. And I think that that's where it potentially becomes important. But, you may hate me now, so I'm going to shut up.
Look, I think it's always interesting, and I feel like I've had some harsh critiques on my site from people like Craig and other people.
Oh, don't worry. Craig has smashed me as well, so it's all good.
I think it's good always to get different opinions, because something in my personal experience where it's like, I'll build a site, I'll design a site. I'm not a web designer or anything. I'll design it, put it up. I might think it's really good. Somebody else might think it's terrible. And I think, sometimes you do get that with certain sites. I can see Deepak in the background scrolling through my website. Maybe he's got some things to critique me on. But I think in general, with this kind of stuff, it's always important to get different perspectives from people. And obviously, David and Jack, like there are things I really like about the site, about how it's laid out. I just think more content, carry on. In terms of the SEO games, just building up more links from more domains that are relevant to architecture and that kind of niche. And then just a few tweaks in terms of the UX on the product pages mainly, because that's where people can purchase stuff. So if you're able to rank, for example, certain category pages for organic keywords like the sockets or whatever it is, lighting, then that's going to be really important for people to see right off the bat, because they might be, that might have a very high transactional intent, so people wanting to buy it. So that's just some things to take into consideration. And obviously, thanks for submitting the sites in, Jack. And obviously, I think BB told me about that size also. Thanks, BB, as well. We've got about 15 minutes left, and we've got the site before from Nikhil.
Hub
Me. Yeah, so let's just go into that. And I think we did get another site as well. Yeah, we did get another site from ABCDEF. Don't know if that's your real name.
Was that the name of the site, or?
No, that's the name of the person on Chrome. That's not ABC. But let's start with this one. So homehubme.com.
Shall I go first this time?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
All right. Just you can share my screen. So Nikhil, how are you, brother? Let's have a look at homehubme. So I'm putting your site up here. I'm going to whack it in also to here to have a look at what happens. I'm going to be on your page. Now, for a business that looks like it's e-commerce, you clearly are thinking about SEO. I think I know that already, because you've got an About Home Hub section on the home page, which more often than not you don't see. You've got contact details. You don't have an address, but maybe you're just an entirely remote business. So I think this is a bit off-putting. I think that you've got a really nicely designed website, but I always do think it's a bit cheap when I see powered by. Although we've got powered by Drift, because I don't. No, you know what? But I do think that that's sometimes something that's annoying, but only more particularly because the colors are so different and it feels non-branded. And again, homehubme, like it's that faceless thing that I always find quite frustrating. this is, let's just see what happens above the fold when you click here. So I'm clicking here. Where does this take me to? Cool. So it takes me to the shop page. So that's good that it does, is that on every page? Shop now, shop now. Okay, great. So I think that it's not clear necessarily that it's clickable, and it's also, I don't know where to cast my eyes. Do I go to the shop now button? Do I? And so I'd say think about those things. I'm not a fan of sliders in general, because again, for the new audience, if they're genuinely interested in you, they're gonna just look and see what it says, and then all of a sudden it switches. And to be honest with you, delivered from our hub to your home in 48 hours. You're saying the same thing there. You're saying the same thing there. Furniture that reflects your personality. That there's just that one change. Yeah. So there's kind of some just initial thoughts that I had. And then if we go back now into Ahrefs, so you're a relatively new site from an SEO perspective, May 2019. It looks like more or less you started your journey. If we go and now take, so your URL strength is 29. It's interesting. Let's have a look at what kind of backlinks that you're getting. So let's have a look at this, and oh, sorry. Let's have a look at what comes up from a do follow perspective. It says you've got 300, and so okay, that's a bit of a strange link. It looks like VAT accounting Dubai, but are you guys based in where is that phone number? Where are you guys based? It is in Dubai, isn't it? Actually, yeah, that makes sense because it's 97.
Like said UAE, right? So yeah, Dubai.
Yeah,
UAE.
yeah. No, absolutely. So so looking at this, it looks like you're getting a lot of links from home Netlify. Is this so is this one of your own sites that is this Home Decor, Home UAE? So I've got a weird suspicion that you guys own this site, because this is a site that's set up, I bet you, just to bloody rank, and the URL structure is weird. It's a funny looking site. I'm curious to see if I put this into Ahrefs now, what's going to happen when I look at it. I could be completely wrong.
I did notice as well, Deepak, for a site when you've got like 130 referring domains and your DR is 8, you know, there's something for me that will bring up some alarm bells in terms of, you know, where are you getting your links from? You know, it seems a bit sus.
So, agreed. So this site, Home Decor, is a clearly, it's maybe it's part of a PVN, maybe it's not, but Rottweiler, Pitbull puppies. Like, so there's a lot of weird stuff that's going on here anyway. So I'd want to look at this because this has got 8,000 do follow backlinks. And if we do, that is one link. Let's just see what happens. One link per domain, 203. And there's some weird stuff going on. A DR of 89, 0 organic traffic. Okay, fine. So that guys, that tells me. But I also do recognize that in the UAE, things are a little bit different, and you can get away with a lot more than you can in Google search in Europe, in the UK. We've got some clients on that side, and the same rules don't necessarily apply. But hello, what else is going on here? It's curious. Hello, link center, jump.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that just looks like a backlink profile that hasn't really been, you know, it seems a bit half-assed. You know, when it comes to link building, you really can't take shortcuts. And I feel like that's, you know, loads of people do try and take shortcuts when it comes to link building. But at the end of the day, what do you want to get out of it? You want to future-proof your site so that no matter what updates roll about from Google's perspective, it won't affect you. So
absolutely,
with that backlink profile now, I would be very concerned, just because at any given point, Google might decide, you know, to hell with this site. It might decide to completely tank it. And even just looking in terms of, so let me just share my screen really quick, just to take a look at the organic keywords, like, you know, where are you actually ranking? So for home, even for home, you rank position 12. It's not too bad, to be honest. But still, you got to think of the intent for that. So home decor, position 12, that's something that you need to focus more on. I think home decor, Dubai, your position 6, focus more on these types of keywords. Because essentially that's what's going to be driving you more traffic, especially considering that, your organic traffic, it's 112. It's not bad. It's probably more than what Ahrefs says here. And actually it shot up in the last month. It seems to have shot up completely. So, some stuff you're doing might be okay, but, it's shot up here and then tanked quite a bit as well. So that might just be another anomaly or fluctuation. But essentially with your link building, you've got to future-proof your site, spend time actually building good links. So do the correct research. So make sure that you do build links like that. One thing I thought I'd mention just to show you at the homepage, something that I hate being greeted with something like this when I first visited a site where it's like, you're telling me that I need to give you my details to get free delivery, but I've never been on your site before. So I don't even know what you do. I don't even know how good your products are. I don't know if you're reputable. This kind of stuff, these pop-ups, save them for like a second session at least. So that people who have already been to your site can take a look. But let me just quickly see an example of a product page, just because we looked at product pages from the other website. So, here you've got one image. You should probably have more images, maybe from different angles, maybe like a 360 clickable thing. That would be really good. I like the colors here. I think they're quite nice. They're quite complementary. The add to cart buy now. And you've got
that's where the red works, guys. And if David and Jack, the designers, remember we were talking about all of the same colors on a site, so you don't know where the hell to look. You look at Itamar's screen. I just immediately go to the bloody add to cart button. And ironically, I get confused with your add to cart and your chat button because it's the same damn color. So I would seek to make that the same brand as the website. But that I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, it's a good point. I was drawn to that as well. That's the first thing I looked to, because you've got all the green and you look to this pink, that contrast, and it's add to cart. But I think the product page looked quite nice. I think the site looks professional. All I think is letting you down is just the link building profile you've got right now. So the thing I would recommend is work on that predominantly, I would say, and just focus on making sure that your product pages work. Check your individual products. Some e-commerce sites end up having product pages that are broken and they don't even know about them. So, just check in terms of the assets that you've got, in terms of the pages on the site, and focus on building some more good links. And I'm just cautious for time as well. I've got about 7 minutes left. So Deepak, any final things about this site, and we can try and get one more in?
No, I think that you guys have you've done a good job on page. There's obviously going to be more things to fix technically, but given the site setup, it probably tells me there's a technical team involved, because it's that site, and I've seen the search filters. I'd be interested to understand how your dynamic URLs work and what happens on that front, because I played around and there's some weird URLs that start to get generated with some of the filters. So maybe there's some stuff that needs to be looked at from a technical perspective, but broadly speaking, it took me 2 minutes to figure out that you've got this weird site that's a PBN probably, that's trying to carry a lot of juice. And I understand why you're doing it. I understand that maybe you've got other businesses that have used it. The challenge is that it will work until it suddenly doesn't. And then when it doesn't, you've suddenly spent a lot of time and money and you're nowhere. So it's probably why you're doing it. I mean, you're ranking number 2 for the word home, 15,000 searches, and your site's less than a year old. That's completely unnatural. So, it tells you that probably you could achieve better results going more slowly, but building, as Itamar said, a healthy profile.
Absolutely. So I hope that helped, Nikhil. Thanks for submitting your site. Let's just squeeze in one more from ABC space DEF.
Teledirect.com.
Teledirect.com. So Deepak, do you want to get started with that?
I'll do my 2.5 minutes. So
all right.
Let's can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Oh, so let's just look at let's take it a little bit differently now. So let's look at kind of branded search, see what comes up. Teledirect.com, join our team. You guys are you guys are owning page one, but it's all on different channels, which is interesting. I guess that's your channel, I presume, TDCX. I guess it is. Yeah. So that's nice to see. I'd also look at the fact you've got shitty Indeed ratings and Glassdoor ratings, because people do look at that from a buying decision perspective. They think crap company to work for, crap company to hire. So I would look at cleaning up stuff like that. So, you know, page one of branded search, this is going to be the search term that gets you the most traffic fundamentally. So always make sure that page one from a reputational management perspective is ship shape. And at the moment, I don't think it is, if I'm being honest. The knowledge panel doesn't look like it's been claimed. If we look at occupying and getting this set up as well, that would be great. Now, if we just go ahead and open up your website and take a quick look at this, your BCP for an uninterrupted CX. Now,
but isn't this a different domain though? From because
is this a different domain?
Sure. Yeah, I'm not sure if they're the same thing. Because the second link, so the position 2 was the join our team bit, but they didn't really have their home page.
Hang on, have I been looking? Okay, so this is I guess your website, because this is teledirect.com. So guys, this is fucking fantastic. Not for you, but it's shit for you, because I've given a very practical demonstration of how I got completely confused looking for your brand, because I just Googled teledirect and you didn't come up. And I then perhaps, and I need to check it more to understand which one is yours, which one it isn't, but you probably lose 20% of new people just from literally that. So I think that I'll wrap my point up there, that example of confusion is an exact evidence of how people make search for the first time. And I got completely lost, and only Itamar pointed out for me.
Yeah, I think, and it's really, really important, especially when people are searching for a brand and they can't even find the home page of the brand that they're looking for. And that's something that you need to make sure that you sort out. So it might have to do with building some more links. It might have to do with you being a bit more active online, making sure that more websites know about you, making sure that more websites link to you. Let me just share my screen just to give my initial kind of thoughts on this site. And there's something that I picked up on, which is quite problematic for me. So you're a US-based contact center, but this line here doesn't make too much sense, like grammatically, or is it grammatical? Because like your customer is our priority, but that's basically saying that the people you work with have only one customer. So it's like your customers are our priority is what that should read. And to me, that just seems quite sus, because you're saying you're a US-based contact center.
Someone who's in the US would not put their US base, by the way, as well, guys. I don't contact or call Itamar for an SEO consult and say, hey, I'm a London-based SEO agency, because he thinks, well, I'm in London as well, or I'm in Sheffield. Why the hell are you telling me that for? So actually, never put that you're US-based if your client is US-based, because you know that's the challenge that I sometimes see with that. And yeah, there's grammar issues, as you pointed out.
Yeah, I feel like that just hit me right off the bat. I haven't looked exactly into so much detail about these pages, but you've got a bunch of get more info CTAs, and it seems like they just all go to your contact form. So do you really need so many CTAs one after the other that just scroll all the way down, because it skips all of this content as well? So prioritize. Yeah, go ahead.
If you scroll up also, because it's quite interesting, the first impression thing, go back down to where it has the numbers. There's a 0.
Yeah, that looks.
So here, stop. So guys, and go to the home.
The home page, did you say? Cut off for a sec. Deepak, you with us?
Am I here?
Yeah, I hear you now.
Okay, sorry about that. If you scroll down the home page, here, guys, whenever I see a 0 or something that has a loading, and even though it says 11 seconds, it just gives me the impression that something's crap, even though that's meant to be a positive. So I would remove any evidence of zeros and a loader that's got hardly anything loaded, because it just is, it goes against how people think about kind of completion. So I probably wouldn't actually, I would change it.
100%. Yeah, I mean, this looks good. This looks good. This looks poor. That's like and that's
even
quite
though it's good. Yeah.
Even though it's good, but people aren't going to know that until they read into it. And most of the time, people will look at this little the blue circle here, and they'll be like, "Hey, good," and they're like, "What is this? Why is that there?"
The rule of thumb is you have to cater for the lazy bastard, and that's me.
Exactly. That's most people in the world, I would say. To be honest, humans are naturally lazy. That's a fact. So you've got to look take that into consideration. Probably even remove this or make it look somewhat more of a positive, like from the visually more of a positive. But you've got content here. Seems like you've got your internal links here as well, which is good to see. Really quickly, because I'm not going to look into all of the content that you've got. I'm just going to see what your backlink profile is like. Unless did we do that already, or was it?
No, we've not looked at that backlink
getting
profile.
Confused, right? So this site, a 43 DR, you've got 590 referring domains. You rank for over 2,000 keywords. I'm just going to quickly look to see where you're getting your links from.
Oh, guys, this is disappointing. I'm sorry, but you've got a good DR and you've got clear work done on SEO, but you've not hired a native English writer to write your damn content. And you're meant to be targeting US customers. That's, again, a company who are focusing too heavily on your backlink profile, but not enough on fixing UX and copywriting issues.
Absolutely. It's a very, very valid point. Like we can see that they are focusing on getting a nice looking backlink profile. Sure, you've got a lot of them that are no follow from the high DRs, but there are some do follow links there as well. And I'm not going to look into them too deeply, but the point that you mentioned just now, Deepak, is really important. And it's about getting the fundamentals done first.
Yeah.
So focus on making sure that your copy is good. Focus on making sure that your site looks nice. Make sure that people can convert. People can even find you anyway. We're talking about the branded search earlier, and you are targeting, majority of your keywords are targeted for the US. So in the US for teledirect, you do rank #1. So fair enough. Maybe in the UK, it just displays a different or a slightly different SERP. But you do seem to have quite a lot of page 1 rankings for some fairly some decent search volume terms. So I think mainly the one thing I would say for the site is just focus on the fundamentals, focus on the content that you've got, and make it more natural for somebody who is based in the US to look at this content and think, yeah, this is somebody who's definitely based here. Like, because that little grammar thing that I showed at the beginning, you see that right off the bat. And I can guarantee you a lot of people will just bounce right off your site as soon as they read that one line. And that's the harsh reality of it sometimes. So definitely focus more about the content, working on the content. And that's the last thing I've got to say about that. What about you, Deepak? Final thoughts?
I agree. I think that, I've got a lot of personal experience being Indian myself, working with Indian technical teams, and just involve a native copywriter. That's what you need. There are plenty of non-native copywriters, but if you're writing for a US audience, we've even had for our agency content written by a US writer for a British publication, and they were able to spot that it was written by an American because of linguistic nuances. So when you think about content in those terms, go to the country of origin in which you're trying to rank and find a writer. It's a one-off payment, but you should do it, because guys like Itamar and me, who potentially are your buying audience, we look at it, we realize within 15 seconds, this isn't a US team. We bounce.
And this is the thing. It's just the harsh reality, and people still think that they can get away with it. And for the majority of cases, you can't, because people are so savvy about this kind of stuff, especially when it comes to an intent to buy. So any transactional intent, consumers are becoming smarter at figuring out certain things, and that's one of the first things that they'll notice in the first 5 seconds, absolutely guaranteed. So focus on that. And you should hopefully see a lot more engagement on your site, a lot more conversions as well. But that's the final thing I have to say. because we did go over the hour by like a few minutes. But first of all, Deepak, thanks so much for coming on this week for the SEO site audits, and obviously everyone else who submitted their sites. So like Nikhil as well. We had some late arrivals with Joy and everyone else who joined in as well. So thank you guys for watching. You can check out Deepak all over online. Check out his agency at Pearl Lemon. And what do you think as well about starting these sessions at 5 o'clock instead of the usual 1:30 p.m. just for the people in the chat? If that might be easier for you, I might try that out next week just to see if the numbers change a little bit. It might be easier for people in the US who can have, enjoy their lunchtime to see this while they're having lunch. So we'll try that out maybe for next week at 5 p.m. UK time. But thanks so much for watching. Thanks again, Deepak, for being with us today. And yeah, like and subscribe if you haven't already. And we'll see you